Namaste Galactic family, welcome back to my channel IndigoAngel. Come on into this dimension, guys, and be sure to subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and comment and share this video if you can. Put a big like on this video today. I just wanted to say it is so good to be back home. I never thought that I would say that it feels really good to be back home in sweet home Alabama. It feels so darn good. Sorry. I really appreciate living in the United States of America, I have to tell you. One thing that we have here is space. Okay, space to breathe, space to have our own plots of land, space to just, do our own thing. That's one thing that I noticed they don't really have in Europe, especially in the big cities. There's absolutely no space to breathe. I mean, I know it's like that in the big cities here in the States, but essentially, it just where I live, I have space and I have the things I need. And I missed my home and I missed my stuff. And I know that I went somewhat MIA for a couple of weeks. And it was actually because I actually contracted the Kraken, the latest version of the La Cucaracha, while I was returning home from my trip. So it literally wiped me out for almost 3 weeks now. You can even still hear in my voice that I am recovering in my chest still. And I may be like clearing my throat and even coughing through this update. I really apologize for that. I'm going to try to keep it down to a minimum. I have some cough suppressant that I have that helps me, but essentially I felt it coming on in Rome a couple of days after we did the Gridwork. And basically inflammation just went like haywire in my body. So by the time that I got home from Rome, I was hurting really good. But having that said, I am actually feeling a lot better now. It just doesn't exactly sound like it. So, having that said, though, I do feel that I was really highly targeted in Rome for the work that I did there. Hence the illness that I came down with, I think, is a part of that targeting. I was targeted with bioweapons. I was targeted with EMF, passing through the 5G bubble trap. I was targeted astrally and spiritually by Vatican demons. A lot, actually. I had several dreams with sleep paralysis, like leading up to going to Rome while I was in Rome. And then also on the way home as well, I was having just constant nightmares. I had a dream where a demonic Vatican claw was actually coming out of my computer. And it was like a creepy demonic hand, and it just like hooked my face and was like pulling me into the computer. So just so much was coming through. And I also do feel that I was also targeted in the physical by force of tearing my wings off as well by these secret draconian agencies. So now, it's not like I was the most quiet about everything. I know that, for goodness sake. Okay, I did put somewhat of a target on my back by wearing the angel wings. I get that. But really, guys, I just could not stop shining my light. I was just simply that bright in Rome. And the joy that I felt with those wings on was very uplifting. And I really recommend anyone to get a pair of angel wings. Like, it is so awesome to go out into public and actually be angelic, be an angel. It really reminds you that even people that we assume are unconscious in the world. Like when we look out at a bunch of people and we look out at the herd and we just like call them sheep and we call them whatever, because they're just like following the masses and stuff. It made me really take a step back from doing that. It made me really just realize that all people, no matter what, like in these crowds, they're all looking for a miracle. They're all looking for a sign from God. And it really humbled my heart when people would see me with those wings on and they would smile, or they would like it made everybody smile. And so it really gave me a deeper sense of compassion towards all people, like even strangers that I didn't even know. And so if you haven't had an angel experience, my recommendation is to buy a pair of angel wings, go out into a crowd of people and just be an angel or be a fairy or be something fun and uplifting that makes other people smile. Like that literally was the essence of my joy, and it was amazing. And I know that it made a difference to all the people who seen me, especially the children. Like the children, when they seen me with those angel wings, their eyes just completely lit up, and um they really seen me as an angel. Like they would point, they would ask their parents to come and take pictures with me. And so that part of it was definitely worth it. I felt so free for so many days up until the solstice. Okay, but the day of the solstice, the energy shifted that morning of the solstice. And what I remember is that the reversal portal really opened up, and the magnetism from that reversal portal was very weighted. I remember that I couldn't stop crying the entire morning of the grid work because I could feel everything so deeply, times 1,000. Everything hurt. I mean, deep emotional pain, like everything was felt 100 times more than what it probably was. And it was just because that time of the year, the timing, the divine timing, the reversal energies that were working there, it really all culminated at that point. And so that's why and how I know the grid work that we did was very impactful, was because the energy of that day was just lit. So I know we caused a lot of ripple and waves that just sent out into eternity. And that's why I wanted to do this update with you guys today, is I wanted to further explain to you guys what exactly happened and just recap some parts of the trip with you guys and do kind of like a cosmic grid energy update a little bit, and kind of go over on my scribbles maps some things in terms of our itinerary that we did. As I know, I did kind of highlight it on the grid work video that I put out, but I wanted to show you guys the map that I charted as well. And also I wanted to announce, I have a big announcement to make as well, that to tell you guys about the launch of my scent line. So I'm really excited about this. It is finally ready for those of you who have been wondering. I know many of you have supported me on this project. You have donated to this project. And I'm really happy to say that the Starseed Activator line is now available on my website. The landing page is done. You can go and read all about them. And I'm going to also include the links in the description. So we're definitely going to get into that today, as I have all my Starseed Activators here. I have the Orion Starseed Activator. I have the Lyran Starseed Activator. I have the Pleiadian Starseed Activator. I have Arcturian Starseed Activator. And I have Syrian as well. And last but not least, I have the Andromedan Starseed Activator. So I'm going to go over all of these with you guys in just a moment, tell you, what crystals we infused and charged them with, what ingredients each one is, and smell them, of course. But honestly, I cannot smell right now, you guys. My smell is hurting and I can't taste anything either. So, unfortunately, I just got my brand new scent line and I can't even smell them right now. But, just know that they smell fabulous. But I want to talk about this with you guys. I'm so excited to launch this. So please stay tuned for this. I'm going to go over this at the end of the, Cosmic Grid update today, talking about my scent line and just, a little bit of the backstory, what's kind of gone into it, and how everything's now available on my website. So again, links will be down in the description, and check them out, you guys, because I'm going to be offering an affiliate program as well. So if you want to highlight these and market these and sell them too, there's going to be benefits for everybody. So I'll get into all of that, but essentially, sorry guys. Essentially, as some of you know from the Gridwork, I wanted to talk about how my wings were decapitated by the Italian Polizia. So luckily I have them safe and sound here with me now. I didn't actually lose my wings for good. They're in my storage right now. But I think I'm actually going to take them out and put them on display in my office somewhere. I don't know, just to remind me of how awesome it was to be an angel. But at the time that it happened, it really felt like the end of the world. 70 wing atrophy to the back. And it reminded me that of the angelic wing removal collectively that has taken place. This is a core world wounding to have gone through a form of angelic wing removal. So I know many of you feel like you are an angelic human. You feel like you are an embodied angelic human. And if you feel like that, I guarantee you've gone through some form of dissension into your body in between lives where your wings have actually been removed. So when I had this happen to me in Rome, it really activated this trauma, the wing trauma for me. And it reminded me that during the ending evolutionary cycles on Tara, okay, so when going back to creation and how these celestial bodies descended and brought forth the spiritual human body, light body, through cycles of reformation of Tara, there was a bunch of conflicts that ultimately erupted on the planet at those times. And these actually came down through Melchizedek factions, Syrian Melchizedek factions that desired guardianship over the spiritual power of the blue flame. Really, a lot of this warfare goes back to Atlantis. And these were the people that decided that they were trying to keep the blue flame essentially for themselves. And this is as self-appointed blue flame keepers. And they were manipulating the Archangel Michael ley line. This is why the Vatican sits on that ley line, okay? And so many inorganic stargates sit on that ley line because even to this day, they're still hijacking the blue flame. The warfare is over the blue flame. And so the Vatican comes into play with this, and it was like I was living that parallel wing trauma. I was reliving it as my wings were ripped from my back, so to speak. But essentially, these groups started experimenting with directing the planetary core staff, something that they're still doing to this day. It's forms and technologies of planetary hijacking over the blue flame, and it's to achieve certain objectives that have a lot to do with the beast machines and the beast mechanics. But it is about utilizing strategic methods in order to gain power over others, over the masses, over mind control. And the sixth dimensional wing holders, okay, of patriarchal Melchizedek factions essentially violated their agreements through power abuses when they unleashed all kinds of chaotic underworld forces and then used them as a weapon to infiltrate in the Egyptian series culture on Tara. Okay, so this happened in the Egyptian timeline, in the Egyptian tribes, first dynasty. And this is when a lot of this dark energy came in through Saqqara. Saqqara itself is a black hole. Saqqara is a wormhole. And I've been to Saqqara. I've sat in the underground catacombs in Saqqara, and literally I was shaking. Okay. It's literally, it opens up to the Wisa systems or the black hole systems in Saqqara. And essentially, this is one of the locations that they, tamper the rod and staff of the planet. And then they also synthesized the unity code between the 12 tribes to hold tribal shields. And so this was a power grab that was made up by the patriarchal Melchizedeks that contributed to the ultimate destruction of Tara. Okay, it came through Saqqara. And it came through ripping off of the wings, and it came from hijacking the blue flame and disintegration of the vertical blue flame staff. And so wing trauma on this earth, like tearing off of the wings of the light body, of the seventh dimensional light body, this is a major thing on this earth in the angelic human form. And the Vatican reversal gate is highly working in between the living and the afterlife realms. That was one of the things that I noticed the most about the energy at the Vatican, is that they were very involved in anti-particle and particle realms, antimatter realms, underworld realms, that they had a foot in all of these dimensions. And that's ultimately what does make them so powerful, is that they have the ability to conceal these traumas in their records and databases and hold things in egregores, hold things in vaults, hold things and silence things with gag orders, and limiting implants around the human light body field pertaining to the throat chakra. This is, and I'm going to get into this. And this is a detailed topic of discussion that I think is very relative to the global crucifixion and the global throat chakra blockages that we hold as a collective. But the wing trauma in the architecture, what this has done is, and I'm talking about this because I relived like a parallel trauma to that. Like I felt it rip through me. I felt it rip and split through my astral identity and through my astral soul layers and split into the lower layers and the higher layers. I felt the re-ripping and the tearing of that. And then I seen the collective expression of it. And this is why humans have forgotten about their angelic templating overall, okay, until it can be rediscovered through ascension processes that occur through the biological time markers of one's body. But this astral split generated chaotic emotional energies that remained unconsciously expressed as like an autonomic system impulse. Okay, so this is about things in the unconscious. This is about things that we are unaware of. And they're about control impulses that we're unable to control as a species, as humanity. And I'm talking about things that are connected to negative emotions, things that are connected to the shadow body, things that are connected to patterns that are uncleared and unresolved. And it's really exaggerated in the primal language, in the primordial language, and in the animalistic and instinctual impulses of the human collective. So a lot of this has been suppressed and oppressed, and over generations, this lower astral body has formed into a repository for accumulative emotional traumatic experiences, which has turned into shadow selves and pain bodies that are connected to the light body. Okay, so it's been like this digression over generations and eons since the fall of man, that in the tearing of the wing body that has fed this unconscious shadow body of trauma. And it is the shadow selves which contribute to an assortment of our pain body and all of the problems within that. So this is really connected to a lot of things that are uncontrollable in the subconscious. Things like autoimmune disorders. Okay, that was something that really came up for me as I was dealing with all of the infiltration that came upon me from the Vatican. It was stirring up autoimmune responses in me as I was being penetrated by bioweapons, as my immune system was being attacked, as I was being hit with EMF and, forced to go through these 5G bubbles and disrupting my plasma, disrupting my auric level of my identity, disrupting my spiritual immune system, everything it flared up autoimmune disorders. Okay. And autoimmune disorders is one thing that nobody supposedly has figured out. Okay. It's a big one. Doctors will not help you with autoimmune disorders. Addiction tendencies. Okay. Anything self-sabotage is related to this pain body that has come through tearing off of our angelic wing body. Okay. Our angelic body, our angelic light body. Self-sabotage, as unaware individuals seek inner relief from the built up tension and emotional anxiety that is held in the shadow selves. And then it's a lot of self-destruction. So the ego personality tends to want to escape this pain body, okay, facing harsher truths, giving into those addictions, wanting to avoid sensations of pain, wanting to avoid resolving emotional conflicts and negative emotions by putting up a lot of subconscious blocks and plugs and seals. Okay, we actually create some of the seals that are in our body. Okay, there is a standard set of universal seals that everybody has to take care of and kind of remove as like a standard to what was done through Anunnaki genetic manipulation. But there's also sets of seals that people carry that we also install within ourselves because of not taking care of the shadow self, the ego personality, the pain body, the harsher truths. And it's really just this like it greatly contributes to this phenomenon of lack of self-awareness, and it really does make it difficult to heal. It makes it difficult to form mental states that are healthy, because a lot of people go into these states of mental cognitive dissonance from wanting to really work through the deeper, more imperative parts of their pain body. And it's very common today. And this is what creates so much sickness and so much illness. And hey, I'm not above any of it, because here I am having to clear the Kraken. Okay, I've now become a part of the COVIDian community. Okay, something that I never had gotten before, but because I went to a place where you know, it's the depth of ultimately the collective shadow body of humanity. And, you know, chose to do grid work there and chose to work there. You know, I was exposed to the thick of what that pain body holds. And, you know, it really, I really did put myself on the line for this, you guys. And all of this actually has to do with the pain of the wing atrophy from the light body. I mean, so simultaneously as my wings were, as I was taking them off, you know, as I felt like I was being stripped from my rights to be an angel, in a place that needed it the most, I went through the pain of wing atrophy that, you know, expanded across all of these timelines. So I got to relive it. I got to re-experience it, and made me realize how much people are suffering in this world just from being separated from their angelic wings. I realized how serious this actually was, and the Vatican feeds this global nightmare by concealing the separation of our body parts. That's really what the Vatican is all about. It's separation of our body parts. You know, we talk about the dragon being dismembered into parts, but it's really representative of all of the body parts that have been dismembered by the Vatican. So the story kind of goes, I had my wings on the morning of the grid work that we were going to do, and I was walking up, and there is a particular point at the Vatican that you cannot go past with anything out of the ordinary or unusual. It's basically a line that you just can't cross. And you can cross it, but you can't take like photographs, you can't take your video camera, you can't take angel wings. They say anything beyond this point is copyrighted to them, you know, whatever that means. It's just a part of their weaponization of words that they use to make sure you don't do anything that they don't like. And so it was a line that they draw. It's like a low fence. And so you can't actually get close to the obelisk at all for grid work purposes. Most definitely not. There's so much that they don't allow there. And I should have known better to have crossed this point with my wings, but I was really trying to meet with my grid team who was on the other side. And I just crossed this line without really thinking. And I should have known because the day before I did kind of get warned. But that was exactly when they came after me. Like they came after me with the police car. They came after me with everything and made a huge scene. Told me that they had been watching me from previous days, and they were like annoyed with me. They were annoyed with my energy. They were annoyed with me being there. They were annoyed with my presence. The guard came up and he was like, you know, even angels have rules. And they just proceeded to try to, you know, bully me and check my documents. But essentially, I managed to escape because I could tell that this guy's English just like wasn't that good. Like he could speak English, but there was like a little bit of like a barrier language between us. And so I just really went into like acting stupid. I started acting like I didn't understand anything all that well. And I really just kind of like wiggled my way out of the situation. And then I went and voluntarily, I took my wings back to my Airbnb. They didn't tell me specifically that I had to take them off, but I just felt that it was necessary given their aggression towards me. They definitely wanted to scare me. They definitely wanted to like check me. And so I felt it was safe to go take them off to like not bring any more speculation towards me. But I had kept them on. I feel like if I had kept them on, that they would continue like circling me with their energy and sending me like several rounds of psychic attack. Plus, it was the morning of the grid work, and we still had to do so much. And it was only early morning at the first location. So you could really feel all of the level of their eyes watching your every move. And after this happened, I just felt like a direct attack on the group. I didn't want to bring more attention to our mission because we still had so much important stuff to do that day. And only if they really knew what we came there to do, right? Like they really didn't know what we went there to do. The police really didn't know. But the spiritual forces knew, right? The darkness that is guarding that place knew. And so we were kind of blocked and stopped from getting close to the main obelisk that needed to be cleared, which was St. Peter's Square obelisk. So the draconian measures that were there were on guard for us that day, and we were spotted. And it was really hard on me because it was the first extraction site. It set the tone for the grid work for the whole day, and it was the reversal portal that needed the most clearing. And so we had to make a decision as a group to basically start somewhere else and then come back to that site at the end of the day. And it was very difficult emotionally for me to go back there at the end of the day. I was done with the Vatican that day. I was done. I didn't want to go back. I was very angry. I felt like I just had gotten like a spanking, and I feel like it was my innocence that they took, because truly at that point before when I was stopped, I was very innocent. I was very childlike in the way that I was loving and sharing my energy. And so it felt like literally that what triggered them was my angelic innocence. They do not like innocence. They do not like anything that is of the light. And so, yeah, even after that, I didn't want to set foot up there again on the Vatican premises. I really could feel at that point the darkness surrounding that place. It was just too much. And it did feel like an attack because after that happened, I'm sorry about my coughing. After that happened, my solar plexus down to my root chakra was just extremely weak. All the energy had left my body. And you can tell in the video that I was visibly shaking when I shot the intro on the Gridwork video that I did. So if you haven't seen the Winter Solstice Gridwork video that I did, I suggest you go back and watch it. And you'll see what I'm talking about, how when I filmed the intro, I was just not having it. I'll put the link down in the description so you guys can go watch that if you haven't. But yeah, I was really stressing out, and it took me a while to restabilize my energy. And it was a strong rolling of like a downhill type of progression for me after that. After that event took place of the Gridwork attack, because I feel like right then and there, that's when it affected my health. I was like definitely hit with the bioweapon right then and there. My health started acting up like almost immediately, I think 2 days after the Gridwork. And I knew that the reversal Stargate was going to take a hit on me. I knew this going into it, but I didn't have any idea of how hard it would actually hit me following the Gridwork. It was like I was targeted and they wanted to try to take me out. It was definitely something that I had to stay very strong for. I required a lot of rest, a lot of recovery. I'm still recovering. And honestly, I am just glad that it is over. Like, I'll be honest with you guys, I really don't see myself wanting to go back there. I really don't. I mean, it would really take, I think, going with a bigger group, more funding, more protection, And also the time of year, I would do that differently as well. I feel like going in there at the winter solstice, you're going in there right at the thick of the harshest energy that you can possibly experience there. And so, and Rome is a cement jungle. It really is. The level of unconsciousness there is very grave to bear. And a lot of people are just not aware. A lot of people are not super gracious. It seems like there's just a lot of hustle and bustle to and from, and a lot of people not, you know, having much more thought other than, you know, like corporate greed. It felt like a lot of corporate greed was there, to be honest with you. It was just really about money. But honestly, overall though, I think we did a lot of good work there. I do think that we made a difference. I kind of see Rome as like this pile of salt. And what we did there was we took like a couple pieces of salt off of the pile, but there's so much more that needs to happen there. It's very overwhelming. And there's just still a lot of work to do there. Any light worker who tells you that they're going to walk up into Rome and clear that gate on their own, and it's not going to require a whole group of light workers and grid workers to come together to do that, like, I wouldn't believe them, because you know that the energy there is immense. The energy there is ancient. It is tied to a lot of Saturn blood worship, ritualistic black magic, curses, pharaonic curses, and not one person and not one group can go in there and do that and can completely clear it. So it's going to require bigger resources to go back there, more people, more protection to really clear that gate site. There's still a lot of work to do in Rome. And so I know some of you may be considering to go. And my recommendation, if you do go, is to just be discreet as possible. That was my mistake. But at the same time, I don't really care. Have you know that? Okay. I don't really care, because I think it's important that I did what I did. And I think it's important that the joy that I brought to people by wearing those angel wings, and it just lets the dark forces at the Vatican know that there are people in this world that are coming to actually bring the true spirit of, you know, angelic guardianship to the Vatican. And that, you know, good. I'm glad that I was a threat to them. I'm glad that I was. You know, they tried to take me out, but they can't. So, yeah, the evil forces there against the good are very powerful. So you just really have to be prepared for all possibilities going there. Be super prepared if you're a group that's going to take that on. I know some of you, like I said, are considering going. You want to definitely have the best team with you that you possibly can have, people who are, and I had the best team. So I just want to say thank you to my team. You guys were amazing. Everybody came in there with their shields, with their strengths, with their gifts, with dedication to the mission, with, you know, they didn't bring any karma, they didn't bring any chaos, they didn't bring any BS. And we were able to go in there and do the work. And so I really, really appreciated that, and just want to say thank you to everyone. Now, I want to go ahead and bring up my Scribbles map, you guys, so I can discuss the itinerary that we did there a little bit, because some things have come up. More stuff has come up. I wanted to recap with you guys some of the information that has come forward. I found out, and I'm sure many of you already know, that on December 31st, following our grid work, Pope Benedict actually died at age 95. He actually died in the Vatican, where his body was on display inside for his funeral services. I mean, the guy was 95. He clearly lived a long life and was ready to go due to old age, but I really can't help but wonder if this grid work that we did moved some of this energy and had to do with the clearing of trapped souls. That was one of the things that we really focused on there, was clearing trapped souls and releasing of trapped prayers under red rope and bounded by the crossed key, the Vatican seal. And we cleared those Vatican seals as much as we possibly could. So it's really interesting that his passing came up. I got so many messages from all of you after that happened. A lot of people were sending me messages telling me that he had passed, and it must have something to do with the grid work that we did. And, every time that I do this grid work on these massive scales, I mean, even just when I went to Georgia Guidestones, I mean, 3 months later, that was crazy how the Georgia Guidestones was demolished after that grid work. So I do feel like every time I do something, energy shifts, energy moves, that we are making a difference doing this work. This Pope in particular, Pope Benedict, now he was one of the popes that was most criticized for how he handled sexual assault cases. I guess several sexual assault cases came across his desk, and he never acted on any of them or did anything about them. I guess he was considered more of a conservative pope compared to the one that's there now, the holograms of what's there now, right? And so another interesting fact of something that came up after the grid work and after the passing of this pope was that they are now reopening a cold case of something of a murder case of the Vatican girl. So there was a disappearance of a 15-year-old girl. This is actually a special that they've done on Netflix. It's actually called Vatican Girl. And it's about one of the most famous cold cases at the Vatican. Some think that she was abducted to secure losses in a Vatican banking scandal, and that she became a victim of the ring of Vatican pedophiles. And I guess this girl went missing, and it's one of the biggest cold cases ever at the Vatican. But more thinking that this Pope that passed apparently played a big role in keeping the Vatican girl case under wraps. So now with this passing, this story is able to come to light, and possibly the work that we did there, that this crossing of this girl's energy may be coming to light as well, because they reopened the investigation of this case. So it's just, little things that happen that you can see the results of the work that you do. Okay, so on my map here, you can see our itinerary. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. This is Rome here. I'm going to have to zoom way into the picture so you can see the itinerary. Everything that has been charted here was in regards to the work that we did. And so some of you might not know, but Rome itself is actually snuggled into some great elevation. You can see it here when you go to this terrain option here. Let me see. You can see the elevation of the terrain. And you can see how Vatican City is actually snuggled into this elevation. And essentially Vatican is built into a hill. So it's actually called Vatican Hill. It's located across the Tiber River from the founding 7 hills of Rome. These hills create the walls within the city. The true origin of Rome was founded on 7 hills in the Palatine Hills. So the original Rome is actually down over here in these 7 hills in Palatine Hill. And then it was moved over here to what is Vatican City now. But essentially it was originally occupied by small settlements in the Palatine Hills, and that's how the story goes by Romulus and Remus and the she-wolf and all of those things. If you don't know the story of Romulus and Remus, go check out some of my more recent Vatican updates while I was in Rome, I did discuss the story of Romulus and Remus. Basically, sum it up short, the Vatican City was founded on fratricide and a lot of Cain and Abel energy. And it's just involves the story of a prostitute nursing these young boys, and then the one boy kills the other boy. So it's just a bunch of babbling BS. Basically, everything that Rome was founded on is just founded through a lot of hoopla and a lot of darker energies. Now, in terms of the grid work that we did in Rome, we realized what was going to be most important. And what immediately stood out to us after looking at the city's architecture, the buildings, the running reversal labyrinth, was the Obelisk network. So we knew going into this that that Obelisk network was going to be what was most important. And yeah, so this is me wrapping everything up from my trip, guys. I'm just trying to tie up all the loose ends. I'm trying to cover all of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about that maybe didn't get to cover it before, and just kind of sum everything up from the grid work that was done here. But so what we realized what was going to be most important to work on was the Obelisk network. We essentially scouted a lot before doing the grid work with the group. And we determined that a trifecta of Egyptian obelisks would be the most impactful across the Tiber River. So I'm going to go back to this one here. Now, so we focused originally starting here at St. Peter's Square, Vatican City. And then we realized that there was a trifecta of Egyptian obelisks that created a perfect triangle across the Tiber River that encapsulated the pentagram in Vatican City, encompassing that pentagram. So the pentagram here is, this here is the Pont Sant'Angelo Castle. This is where they had most of the public executions that took place in Rome. So executions, capulation, beheading, all of this really dark capital punishment. This is where it took place. That's also where Archangel Michael supposedly revealed himself for the first time as well. So it's really interesting how all of that goes hand in hand with each other. But what we actually seen psychically here at this point of the pentagram is we seen that there were 8 Vatican seals that were placed throughout the city, but the main seals, they were located here at the pentagram markings, that the seals then opened up to an underground tunnel network that was running under Pont Sant'Angelo Castle. And I also believe that there are several different layers and classifications of seals that are running here in the city as well, throughout the city, that there's also a smaller 24-point smaller seal system throughout major locations in Rome, with a major crucifixion and slavery seal system running at the Colosseum, as there was a very heavy and dense Akashic field that seemed to exist over the Colosseum that has to deal with the wounding of the divine masculine. A lot of the divine masculine wounding seemed to be coming up a lot as we went into the Colosseum. So we could see that seal system working there as well. Now, one thing to take note of that I thought was really interesting is that, and I'm going to switch to another picture here, but I'll come back to this one, was the Palatine Hill. So let me go to this picture. Now, what I noticed in the grid work that we did was the Palatine Hill was very protected energetically. This was one of the places that we were actually supposed to go to call upon the temples of Saturn, the temples of Jupiter, the temples of Venus, Mars, Vesta, Juno, and utilize and draw up from that power. But we were never able to get there. We were never able to make it to the Palatine Hill. And even walking up to the Palatine Hill, I kept getting this really strange feeling because we tried to get in. I kept getting this really strange feeling like I shouldn't be going in there. I shouldn't be. It just, something was really blocking me. Something was really pushing back. Come to later find out that there are a lot of etheric, astral, political, military covenants, contracts that have been made to really protect the sacredness of the Palatine Hill. So I don't feel that the Palatine Hill is connected to the energy that's running at the Vatican, that there's some sort of bar or there's some sort of separation that protects these temples on all kinds of different levels and layers. And so I think it was one of the reasons why doing the grid work, we weren't able to access Palatine Hill. I think if you're going to do Palatine Hill, that it's something that has to be done individually to take in all of the energy there. Palatine Hill is by far the most sacred place in Rome that's still, I think, holding the purity of particular energies that you can tap into. But I don't think it has anything to do with the Vatican as much, that these lands are considered more sacred and that there are shields in place that protect this part of the Vatican, or I mean, of Rome, from the other corruption that is going on. So that's just one thing that I noticed. Now back to the map. So many of these obelisks, they are running reversal portals around them. Within the landmass of the obelisk, they're running the distorted male phallic energy. They're running Saturnian blood sacrifice and ritual. They're running brutality and barbaric energy, curses, Egyptian pharaonic curses, and Christian crusade cursed energy as well. So a lot of like bloodshed is connected to those obelisks. And additionally, the Jesuit order as well is connected to these obelisks. Now, there are 13 of them throughout Rome. We did only hit the 3 main ones, the Macateo obelisk in front of the Pantheon, and then also Piazza del Popolo as well, which was a place where there was other major executions that took place as well. But this has a lot to do with the Jesuit order that's being kind of structured into this male-only secret military operation from about 500 years ago. This is what really carries this distorted male phallic energy. Okay, this is what began to infiltrate a lot of these aristocratic lineages for gaining power and control in geopolitics. And over time, the Jesuit secret oath, okay, what they choose to conceal for complete obedience to the Supreme General. And eventually this Supreme General became what is called the Black Pope. So some of you may have heard about the Black Pope or the Gray Pope, but essentially this is what progressed into a secret order that became influential and in control of the obscene amount of wealth that's hidden in the Vatican underground in vaults. I wouldn't be surprised underground at Ponte Sant'Angelo as well, that that's all connected. And the Jesuit control over the Vatican institution has further evolved into the generation of many other subsidiary organizations for handling a lot of these secret operations. And I think that's ultimately what the Uber coincides as in Rome, like how they have this secret Mercedes-Benz club, okay, that's operating under Uber. I think that's a part of the Jesuit order. And it's like a secret military order of Malta, okay, along with, I think, central banks, secret societies, and cults, that they are run by these high-ranking Jesuits that are the driving force behind the creation of a lot of these organizations that we have on the earth today, like the United Nations, the World Death Organization, NATO, all the world wars, HAARP, CERN, all of these things. These are the actual globalist organizations that were put in place after the most recent human holocaust to fully protect the monopolies represented in the international business interest and promote the corporations, promote the anti-human agendas, the death culturalism of these bloodlines. And that's what is called, and that's what is the Black Nobility League through these Jesuit connections. And these are the same people that put Benito Mussolini in power, okay, who established the Vatican as a sovereign nation. He was the one who did that through some treaties in 1929 that ended a lot of struggle between Italians and the popes. There's actually a movie you can watch about this. It's called Tea with Mussolini, and Cher is in the movie. A lot of people have told me I look like Cher. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard it throughout my life. But I actually watched it on the plane home as I was dealing with my COVIDian Kraken situation. But it's interesting how in that movie they depict Americans. They kind of depict Cher as just like this ignorant woman, and they have these scenes also that play out that you can see how much warfare is over the Greek statues and the art pieces, and Americans trying to come and buy up their statues, and there's so much like warfare and politics over everything. Basically, this movie kind of exemplifies all of this, what I'm talking about. So yeah, I recommend going and watching it. It's called Tea with Mussolini. It's actually really good. But following the conclusion of these treaties in 1929, the Black nobility, they were given like dual citizenship in Italy and in Vatican City. And so then this gave the Black nobility full unrestrained access to Vatican for all of their covert business entities, installing the Black Pope, forming the Holy See Corporation, and then placing a white Pope, okay, as a hologram, okay, to make people think that this is what it's about. But really, the Black Pope is what is controlling everything. It's a secret Pope, a secret guy, a secret doctrine, okay, that is really who's in control. And that Black Pope is the ultimate sorcerer to Saturnian global control. So the top objective of the Vatican, mafioso, is about concealing vast amounts of wealth from global criminal activities. And then this is where and how the Swiss bank comes in, and why this is so important, and why the Swiss Guard is there, is because they are the ones that are, handling the funds that are used for money laundering and funding the overall objectives of the one world order that's in favor of all of these satanic ruling elites. So it's just, that's why it's so dark there, is because you have this underlying stuff that's going on that the rest of the world doesn't know about. And it's all to siphon the energy off of the tourist, siphon money off the tourist, and infect them all with bioweapons and the Kraken, essentially. Now, speaking of Malta, okay, because I do want to touch on this some more. I actually came down here and charted some areas in Malta because this actually does come up a lot. Let me scroll out. Malta is way down here, you guys. Malta, 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 Malta. Wow. Not getting very far very fast, am I? Okay. Now, Malta. Now, this is important. I do want to touch on this with the belief, which is my own personal one, that Italy itself is a labyrinth reversal portal with several cities that are in cooperation under the Vatican's Jesuit order. Okay. Malta just being one of them. But this is a gold mine here. They are hijacking Syrian ancient temples and utilizing this gate site to infiltrate and hijack the Syrian Stargate system for its energy resources and power. So if you guys had time to watch on Netflix, Graham Hancock's Apocalypse, I really highly recommend that you watch that because he talks about the Syrian energy and all of the megalithic temples in Malta. So there are a bunch of megalithic temples in Malta that are prehistoric temples. They're all UNESCO World Heritage Sites. They were built in periods between 3600 BC, 2500 BC, and they are claimed to be the oldest freestanding structures on Earth until the discovery of Göbekli Tepe, which is very interesting. So Göbekli Tepe is claimed to be like the oldest, the most ancient, but no, there are these temples in Malta, and all these temples that are here, I'll kind of scroll in a little bit because you can't really see them. Okay, so we can scroll into them, but you can't because they keep them covered with these white tents. They do these like weird things where they like don't let you see them. But essentially all of these temples have doorways all over Malta. And all of these doorways are pointing to the Stargate Sirius. So this may be the original point that the beings from Sirius, when we talk about the original inception of the Syrian Melchizedeks that came in and did this reformation of Tara that came and decapitated the wings, this may have happened in Malta. Okay, I'm not kidding you guys. This may be descended to Earth and predate even the story of the Dogon tribes. That is a potential. They keep these tarps over the excavation sites so that satellites and pictures have no ability to see what they are doing to these excavation sites. And archaeologists believe that these megalithic complexes are the result of local innovations in a process of cultural evolution. So these are very, very, very ancient. But I do believe this is why these temples at Malta are very important, is the orientation of them to the Syrian Stargate. So I think there's a lot of galactic history here in Malta. And that is why those in charge at the Vatican are interested in Malta. Okay, so I think that this is a location that they're utilizing for things when it comes especially to hijacking organic sources of energy, because this is how they do it, right? This is how they've been doing it. When we talk about the blue flame, the planetary rod and staff that's being hijacked and has been since 500,000 years, is that they're hijacking organic energy. That's what they do. So whatever's in Malta, they know about it. They're using it to their advantage. And hence why I feel the global planetary throat chakra is so displaced, because I really think that the Vatican is actually the planetary throat chakra of the world. Okay. And yeah, it's the planetary throat chakra of the world. And they're basically, that's why beheading, chopping off people's heads, decapitation, capulation, atrophy, all of these things are so prominent there because they are placing gag orders on the global throat chakra, and they're trying to suppress information from getting out. Now, and another thing that's important about Malta here and the pentagram that's in Vatican. So this pentagram here, these 5 points of the pentagram at Pont San Angelo. So you can see that this is like clearly a pentagram. Now, each one of these points are aligning to a different location. So it's aligning to Port Arthur, Texas, Port Arthur, China. It's aligning to the International Peace Garden and US-Canada border. It's aligning to Ascension Island, which is an HAARP military base. And it's aligning to Malta. So there's something going on with that, with this alignment of this pentagram and all of these 5 locations. Now we know that the Vatican is a cesspool for satanic creatures, alien infiltration, demonic parasites, and it's used for trapping souls, powering up lunar forces of the Dark Mother onto the planet, harvesting Mother Mary's energy, Lamia and Medusa, and withholding the true origins of the divine Sophia and her empowerment within this. They dispose of Vestal virgins for energy resources and hijacking of the incarnation gates. I think this pentagram within this case is connected to the global control trinity. So not only is it connecting out to these major 5 points, but it's also connecting to the city of London, Washington, D.C., Vatican City, through the power of the Obelisk network, and again running down to Malta, drawing power off the Syrian Stargate. But this pentagram is one of the main power sources to the occult magic that it runs globally. So this really is kind of a focal point for Gridwork. So in terms of timelines related to the 5th dimension, okay, so a lot of these obelisks here, what they serve is the source from the core memories of the reptilian invasion. So as you may know or not know, this has been discussed a lot and is a part of the Egypt trip that I took when I was returning to parts of the landmass where the reptilian invasion memories are in the planet. Almost like that is the inception memory of it, is the Obelisk network. Okay, the 13 obelisks in Rome. So that's why I think it became our focal point for the Gridwork in the Egyptian culture and timelines. A lot of these obelisks also were access points to the astral plane, underworld energies, but they're also 5th dimensional access points as well. So I'm feeling that it's relevant to us and was relevant to the Rome trip specifically, to work with those timelines and energies, and memories, particularly of the 5th dimensional invasion. So we did a lot of clearing of that energy. We also did a lot of working on the reversal systems, the satanic systems, the black magic systems, and the Metatronic systems, clearing all of those systems. So it was really important for us to focus on the architecture because it was where we had to free the planet ultimately of those forces by means of control and fear and abuse and enslavement. So this particular timeline is very important in terms of eradicating and working with overriding those particular memories and experiences that are held in our consciousness. And I'm feeling that our Gridwork was a process that is a part of the completion or a coming full circle of many cycles within this, hence why more work actually still needs to be done there. And my trip to Europe, however, in particular, at the moment, the 5th dimensional Stargate, the anti-particle part of it, meaning that there is a particle part of it, the opposite of it. Okay, so the 5th dimensional Stargate is located in Machu Picchu, and that's the other side of Vatican City in Rome. So some of you may know that I was in Machu Picchu 6 months ago. And it was amazing, by the way, one of the best trips I've ever taken. Way better than the Vatican, I'll be honest with you. But a bigger part of this Gridwork was that I was preparing the gate systems for the work in Machu Picchu to come to the work that I was doing in Rome, following in Rome. So I've come to realize that Machu Picchu is the sacral chakra of the world, and I feel that sacral and throat chakra are connected. That would mean that the Vatican is the true throat chakra of the world, but this is hidden knowledge. Okay, they don't want you to know this. If you look at the global chakra locations on particular maps that were channeled by some guy, I don't remember his name, the throat chakra is displaced into many different places. Okay, there is not a concise agreement on where that actually is. But I have to tell you that I really truly feel that the true earth throat chakra is the vaginal root of the dragon, okay, which is the Vatican. And this is the great hijacking of the dragon, but the Vatican is where all of the global throat chakra blockages reside. This is why we have global throat chakra issues the way that we do, is the blockages and distortions running from Machu Picchu to the Vatican are blocking the life to anti-life networks. Okay, so again, hence why there's beheading, decapitation, and why this is the most common form of capital punishment in Rome. And they all exonerate most of their statues by removing the heads from the stones. As you can see in my Medusa piece, when I'm standing in the Hall of Head Records, you can see all of the head records in there. You can see all of the decapitated statue heads. So, yeah, there's a lot more to this Obelisk network that I'm going to really kind of get into. More details of this when I do my Gridwork or Facilitator course, which the next class is January 22nd, 2023. We still have room for you to sign up. So if you haven't signed up for the Gridworker course, I'll leave the links in the description. I really suggest you sign up for the course, as I'm going to go over more details of this boots on the ground grid work and how we do it, how we get into it, what are things that are important to pay attention to if you are a facilitator. And another aspect we're going to go over for the Gridworker course is also remote viewing, as it's kind of one of the major parts and pieces to grid work is being able to access and utilize your remote viewing skills. And so we're really going to cover the aspects of remote viewing in our January 22nd, 2023 course class. So hopefully my chest and my lungs and my voice clears up better by that course class. If not, you guys are going to be hanging in there with me, but doing my best to get better, to get well, taking lots of vitamins, doing everything I possibly can. But essentially, guys, I did want to go over my launch of my scent line. So some of you know I've been working on a cosmic collection of organic essential oils designed to spiritually enhance starseed attunements through fragrance, frequency. And so, yeah, I'm probably going to do another video on these. This is the Lyran one. This one is infused and charged with carnelian and clear quartz crystals. So you can see at the bottom, we have crystals inside, unique crystals inside each one for each star system. The Lyran is all organic essential oil blend of frankincense, myrrh, and sea salt. This is one of my favorite ones. And we put so much design into the labels as well. On the landing page, which I'm going to include down in the description, you can essentially check out and read about these. And I have a Stargate attunement on the landing page as well that you can utilize these symbol codes to attune yourself more to the star systems as well. So these are for starseeds that are looking to attune themselves. The backstory goes that about 3 years ago, I began to really see and feel clairvoyantly and clairsentiously through smell frequency and through essential oils. And these natural smells would remind me and awaken me and activate me to the star systems and starseed origins, because we can actually attune our consciousness to the stars in so many different ways. And so I think we often forget that. We just kind of think it's through our connection or through light or through colors or through geometry and mathematics and astral traveling and our spiritual experiences, which is true. We do attune that way. But I really found myself being comforted through scent frequency, and I was really smelling the stars. And so it really created a warmth of knowing within me and a remembrance in my heart. And so I really spent the last few years working with essential oils in my daily practices, and just mixing and matching all of the different potentials. And I really chose a lot of sacred oils as well. Oils that I felt like carried spiritual principles and spiritual properties, like sage oil and things like this, and cedar oil, a lot of tree oil, fir oil, things like this. And just really, mixing it together, mixing and matching, submitting all of this to a professional scent company in New York. And I created my perfect designs of each one. Orion is amazing. I absolutely love Orion. This one is infused and charged with obsidian crystals and attuned to the belt of Orion. And all of these scent activators are actually attuned in Black Hawk, Colorado, in the mountains, very close to the stars. We actually put each one through an attunement process. And so these do contain the energy of these systems. The Orion one has a blend of cassia, clove, nutmeg, and fir, and I love this one. It's kind of spicy and exotic, just like you would kind of think the Orion energy would be kind of woodsy and but also sweet. And so it's a beautiful elixir. And let me tell you guys, this creation of all of this really didn't come easy. Oh, you can see the crystals, the obsidian at the bottom. So yeah, but none of this really came easy. It took a lot of designing each one. I've been working on this for years, you guys, years. Adjusting, sending back samples, scratching certain designs, starting over. So each one has really been a lot of thought, a lot of care. And I've designed one for each of the star systems: Orion, Lyra, Syrian, Pleiadian, Andromeda, and Arcturus. Pleiadian, oh, I love Pleiadian so much. This one is rose oil and patchouli. I wanted to put lang lang in it, but it made it a little bit too much. But yeah, so this one is also Lemurian clear quartz inside each one, and is attuned to the Pleiadian, to the seven sisters. And yeah, we have Arcturian, and this one is infused with citrine yellow crystals. And this one is orange, sage, and lemongrass. Oh, I love this one. This one's so clearing. The lemongrass and the sage really do it, and the orange is like an activator. And this is what the star systems told me they wanted. I was listening with an open heart and an open mind. And so my future goal is ultimately to continue to keep designing scents for the stars, more stars that are already calling to me. I have more in my mind that I want to create. The next one I'm going to do is going to be Hydra, because I'm a Hydra starseed. But I already have some scents kind of together for that one. But yeah, I'm going to keep doing more and more. And I just really feel like this was really important to the new earth, and to having tools to attune. There's not a lot of tools to actually attune to starseed origins, and I get that question all the time. How do you attune? So I wanted to create a tool that people could use that really truly is meaningful and works. So these Starseed Activators are really a great way to attune to your origin. And they're all up on my website now. I'll probably do another video on them. But I'm going to be doing a launch very soon through email campaign. So be sure to sign up at my website, IndigoAngel222.com, to get those newsletters so you can get all of the latest information about these Starseed Activators, but they are available now for purchase. So I will leave the links down in the description. I'm selling them individually, so you can buy one or you can buy them in a 6-pack and get all of them. And yeah, I'm just so excited. I'm so happy. And yeah, it's been amazing. It's been such a wild ride this last month. Everything's been so many blessings have come forward, and I'm just really happy to be doing this work. I love it all so much. So and thank you to everyone that supports me, supports my work. You are amazing. And I hope you guys have a beautiful everything. And I'll see you guys on the next video.